I've got two new bag books for you. These are my Builder bag books, occasion bags and tote bags, but these books are a little bit different to the ones that you've seen before because they're actually folders. So if I open up the occasion bags and take a look inside, you'll see that we have your book with 15 projects. This is the occasion bags one. So different styles of occasion bags, cosmetic bags and clutch bags, but you've also got two plastic templates. And these are so easy to use. It means you don't have to cut out paper templates. It means you don't have to pin. You simply plonk these on top of your fabric and you can draw around them. I'll make up one of the bags in just a second so you can see how easy they are to use. Let me just give you a few ideas of the different styles of bags that you can create with them though. So from occasion bags, this is the kind of style. So this one's actually got a gusset. It's got a slightly curved base and you can see it's got a lovely scallop shape to the flap. But this is the same style of bag, but it's got a different shape of flap. That's a curved one. In the books as well, I'll give you lots of different techniques. So bag closures, zip insertions, even things like the little rose that's in the occasion bag as well. So you could use those on brooches and other things too. This is still from the same pattern. So this is a cosmetic bag with the zip in the top. And then we've got clutch bags with the curved shape and with the scallop shape, and you can even make things like this. So those are just a few of the projects in the occasion bags. You've got 15 to choose from in there. And then just quickly with the tote bags, and then we'll get sewing. We have instructions on how to fit the zip in the top, so you've got a zip panel like this, but also how to make pockets, flat pockets, and those are on the templates too. This bag has a square base. This one doesn't, so it's ideal for folders. It's got a patch pocket, it's got pockets on the inside. There's techniques like a little bit of hand stitching, different shapes to the flap on the front, and you can even use the flap templates to make up things like this, which is a little purse. So again, you can make cosmetic bags with those as well. So that gives you an idea of the kind of things that you're going to be able to make when you invest in the books. Let's get making one of them. So this is how they work. You can see with the actual templates, they're all labelled, so all of the different sizes are made quite clear. The rectangle shape here is for a zip insertion, so you've got the correct size. Again, that's all explained in both of the books. And there's a little heart shape which can be used as a plique, or on one of the bags actually drawn through that and embroidered over it on a quilted bag. So for the front section of your bag, or the front and back, this is the largest shape. So this is the shape for a bag that looks like this. So you can see the corner shape there. The clutch bag has a rounded shape, and this is a dart. And then you've got three different shapes of flaps. So this is the scalloped flap. The next one is a curved flap, and the next one here is a round flap. All of the bags in the book have the outlines of the pattern that you need to use actually on each page, so that makes it clearer for you to draw around. And then on your second template with the occasion bag, this is the side shape. So again, that's the deep section at the side here. This is the base, and you need to place this on the fold. And then you've got two widths of straps. So it says here again, place on fold. This is the narrower strap, so it's going to be double the length, and that's the wider strap. So again, on the fold, that's going to be double the length. So let's cut out the pattern for the clutch bag. So take your fabric piece. This is for the lining of my bag. I've already cut the outside out. And again, I need to place that on the fold, and I'll need two pieces, and that is explained, as I say in the book. So to make two pieces, I'm folding that in half again. And then place on the fold. So you don't have to pin, which is a huge bonus, so you get a really accurate outline. If you wanted to use a little bit of repositionable spray adhesive on the back of your template, that could hold it down if that helps a little bit. You'll probably find that you don't need to. So I'm just drawing on the back of my fabric, but as this is the edge, then it really doesn't matter if you draw on the top of it. And I'm using an erasable ink pen. If you're using heat erasable like this one, just check beforehand that it's not going to stain your fabric. But again, this is actually the cut line, so you're not going to see this pen mark anyway. And I'm literally drawing around the edge. So I've chosen the clutch, so I've come down the side, around the bottom, into the dart shape and around there. And then I need to cut that shape out. If you get ink on your template, It's transparent, so you can wipe it off. And another reason why the templates are transparent is because you can fussy cut with them. In other words, if there's a particular area of my fabric that I want to sit in the centre or the side of my bag, I can place the template over the top and I can see through it, so I can get an exact cut. So cut the top off here, and we'll cut into those two little darts as well. So that's my lining finished. So I've got two pieces of the lining fabric, as you can see. I've already cut out the outer section of my bag, and with the outer pieces I've put some wadding or batting on the back of there, and I've used repositionable spray adhesive. You could use a stabiliser or interfacing if you wanted to. And then I've cut out two flap pieces, again from the lining. One of them I've backed with a wadding or batting, and the second one isn't. So that, in effect, is kind of how my bag's going to look. But before I actually start sewing, I'm going to put that magnetic snap on, which is here. So I'll need the front section of the bag. The front and the back of mine are both the same, so it doesn't matter which one I choose. And the lining section of the flap. So I'm going to fold the flap in half to mark the centre, and just finger crease there. And I'm going to fit my clasp around about 1 inch from the edge. Don't fit it too close to the seam, because you're going to have a seam allowance of 1/4 inch around here, so you don't want to interfere with your sewing machine. And then when you allow for your sewing machine foot, that's probably going to come out to about here. So 1 inch, 1.25 inches is probably the perfect place for that to go. Actually I need to mark that on the front, because on the back, because this is only a single piece of fabric, I'm going to put another little piece of fabric just to strengthen it. So I'm just using the same lining fabric, it really doesn't matter. Cut it into a random box shape. Just going to use a little bit of fabric glue to hold that in place. Right, now on your magnetic snaps you'll have two parts to them. You'll have a fat bit and a thin bit. The thin bit goes on the flap, the fat bit goes on the bag. And you'll also have a backing. So take the backing, place the hole in the centre over the top of the mark that you've just made, and I'm going to draw a little line through the two gaps on either side. Then you'll need a quick unpick or a small very sharp pair of scissors and cut into those lines. Be careful when you're cutting here, because you don't want the holes to be too big. If the holes aren't big enough, then you can always make them bigger, but if they're too big, you've just got a hole in your work, so you're going to have to cut another piece of fabric. So those go through to the back, the backing goes on there, squish out the prongs, and that's 1/2. For the second half, again I'm going to fold in half and just finger crease the centre line, but this time I'm going to place the flap in position so I get a really accurate mark. So making sure that my flap is central, I'm going to overlap the top a little bit here, because remember this is going to curve around the back of the bag, so I want to allow for that. And then I'm going to put a mark on the front. I don't need to put any stabilising fabric on the back of this one, because it's already got the wadding stroke batting on the back. Little mark either side. Snip again. And fit the larger part of the clasp in the same way. There we go. So that's the hardware done. Time to get sewing. So the first place to start is the darts, which are those little V-shapes that you cut out of the main body of the bag. So what we're going to do is to fold right sides together and just sew literally 1/4 inch along this section here. And a little bit of a tip for you, just like if you're dressmaking, when you're sewing in a dart, if you curve very slightly around the point isn't quite so pointy, so it gives just a very gentle curve. And do the same on all of those little V shapes, both on the outside of your bag and on the lining. So you can see the shape of the bag taking place now. So I've already done my lining pieces and the opposite side of my bag. So the next thing we're going to do here is to sew the flap pieces together. So again, right sides together. So the clasp is on the inside and the wadding is on the outside. I'm not going to pin this, but you could do if you wanted to. I'm literally going to sew all the way around the edge. Take it easy as you go around these curves because you want them to be curves, so no sharp stitches in there or uneven stitching. When you come to the little point there, stop with the needle down and then twist the whole thing around and carry on sewing. See what I mean about not being too close to the magnetic snap? There we go. Now before I turn this the right side out, where those little V shapes are in the corner of the scallop, I'm going to snip into those, not through the stitches, but close to the stitches. So I get a nice flat seam when I turn this. Then we turn it the right side out. Have the iron on at this time. Push out the curves. And then iron it. I'm not going to iron this one because I want to carry straight on, and it's quite a crisp cotton, so I can finger crease it, but just make sure that the seam is right on the edge. Your curves are nice and curvy, and then I'm going to top stitch. So that's the flap finished. So if you wanted to add a decorative button, then that would look very nice. Remember, we've got the magnetic clasp on the one side. If you do feel this is a little bit plain, then maybe a nice big button or a brooch on the front would look really good on this one. So that's when you can start to become your own bag designer. Now take the back section of the bag, so this is the one without the magnetic clasp, and we're going to put the flap right side down so the clasp is facing upwards, and we're going to sew the top of the flap to the top of the bag, right in the centre. So you can measure if you wish, but just make sure that those two sides, the two gaps either side, are exactly the same size. And sew close to the edge, because these are just like tacking or basting stitches, so they're going to be within the seam allowance when the bag's constructed. Then I'm going to take the two outer sections of the bag, right sides together again, and sew all around the curved section. Leave the top open. Again, you can pin if you find it easier. I find by the time I've pinned it, I may as well have just sewn all the way around. Try and match up those darts as you go around. Just lining at the edges. And we'll turn this section the right side out. So that's how your bag's looking now. The flap should sit perfectly over the front. So we need to put a lining in there. So sew the lining pieces together in the same way, but this time we're going to leave a gap in the bottom so we can turn the whole thing the right side out. So right sides together, leaving the top section open, and we're going to sew around the curve. I'm going to stop there, leave my gap, and then carry on sewing. It's about 4 or 5 inches. Just snip that thread. And then leave the lining inside out. And you're going to drop the bag inside the lining so the right sides are together. Match up the seams at the side here. Again, you can put a pin in there if you wish. Let's cut those threads away. And then we're going to sew all the way around the top. If you have a free arm on your sewing machine, you may find that useful to use now. And matching up those seams at the side. Just sewing over the flap at the back now, so the fabric's quite thick. I do give you instructions in the books as well how to add handles, how to add a wristlet if you prefer, and even on a clutch bag like this you can still put a zip pocket on the inside. We'll turn the bag through. And then with the gap in the bottom here, you can sew that by hand if you wish, but I'm just going to pull the two sides open so that the seam allowance tucks inside and then sew straight across on my machine. Okay. Then push the lining inside the bag. I can press that now. If I want to, I could put a line of stitching around the top just to finish it off. The flap fastens over like so. And there is my little clutch bag. So that's just one of the projects from the occasion bag. Another 14 to go yet. Hope you enjoy making yours.